Shalom, family. It's good to see you all here. I got to go over this story, which is very disturbing to me. So, you know, these are the things that are going to happen as long as you keep sending children to Karen's class to be educated. And it's not going to improve. Just from all the sabotaging we have endured all throughout the centuries is grounds for reparations. It's grounds for reparations every time you send your child to Karen to be educated. She's there to destroy and make sure your children never thrive. This is why you will see Karen in all these schools teaching, and their standardized scores are low. Any type of state testing, it's low. No, it's not the children's fault. And number two, teachers, because of what you're doing, educating, I believe their raises should be based on how well their class is doing. So if Karen is heading as teacher and the classes are not doing well and they're below standards, Karen should not receive a raise. I think raises, when it comes down to certain jobs, should be based on the performance of that teacher. And I think cops are also another profession. Their raises should be based on performance. If they're out here shooting up a bunch of unarmed people, they shouldn't be awarded for that. And Karen, being the primary teacher in most of our schools, you don't see our melanated teachers over there inundated in their communities, and Karen shouldn't be in ours. The kids should be in schools where the teachers reflect the community. And it has never been that way for our children the entire time. Okay. Yeah, I heard about Mitch McConnell freezing again. Mitch McConnell is not healthy enough to do his job. And I think that needs to be brought out. He got caught off guard that first time. Now it's another issue. Yeah, I'll probably talk about that a little later. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the way it should be. If you held the teachers accountable for how well the class did, and the class does poorly, then Karen would be out of luck. She wouldn't get no raise. Better be lucky. They are lucky I'm not the one that's running things. Okay. Because if that were the case, Karen would never see a raise with her sabotaging behind. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I want you to hear what was said. And this, I believe the woman is the principal. She's full of crap. She knows what happened, but she's also denying certain things. So, but I'm going to let you hear for yourself. And plus, I'll go over the article in regards to this. Let me first share my screen. And give me a 1 if you can see my screen. If you see my screen, please give me a 1. Yeah, I mean, you're right, Katrina. Standardized tests are very biased. They're really heavily geared towards white students. But in the same token, you still can't deny that Karen has been in front of our children and miseducating them on purpose, giving them wrong information. We even seen this even during the lockdown when some of these teachers were recorded being racist, being biased, misguiding our students, lying. You remember that high school teacher that was in front of our children, and he was like, white people did not whip black people when they were slaves. Remember that? That's the kind of stuff they do in front of our children. It's deliberate. They deliberately try to misguide them and miseducate them. I know some of y'all remember that. He was sitting there, and the students knew instantly he was lying. And when they were challenging him, he was getting more and more angry and belligerent with the black students that he had. Oh, white people didn't whip slaves. When black people were slaves, we didn't whip you. I mean, come on. But see, that is an example of what they do. And that being said, even when you look at this video that I'm about to show you, I'm still wondering, why are we sending our kids to these people to be educated? And the sad part is, even after this incident, I bet you there were black parents down there in Florida that pushed their kids right back out the door and sent them back to this very same school instead of taking a stand. Oh boy. All right, let me go ahead and I'm going to show you the video.
Being an African American, the enemy wants to go out off and flip off on somebody.
Outrage and anger in Flagler County.
They're being pulled because of their color.
Black students pulled out of class and sent to a special assembly in the cafeteria.
Their test grades are not going to be great no matter what race you are.
Parents claim they were left in the dark. The school district does confirm that the black elementary students were isolated for this assembly in an effort to improve test scores. Thanks for joining us. I'm John Brown.
And I'm Luann Sorrell. 4th and 5th graders were pulled out of class in the middle of the day. Fox 35's Chris Lindsay is joining us live from Bunnell Elementary. And Chris, the parents you spoke to are livid about this.
That's right. These parents want to make sure their children are never singled out again. Even though these meetings were supposed to be about improving grades, it was their skin color that determined if they win or not.
That made my blood boil. I mean, you don't say that. 4th, 5th graders?
That's Daryl Williams. He's 10-year-old Briley's father. On Friday, she was called out of her class for an assembly at Bunnell Elementary. When she showed up, she noticed all of the kids in attendance were black, and that did not sit well with her parents.
The enemy wants to go out off and flip off on somebody, but you won't get answers that way. So, I got to set an example for my daughter.
According to the school district, this was the school's attempt to motivate the black children to raise their test scores. Friday's presentation opened up with the statement, AA have underperformed on standardized assessments for the last 3 years. AA meaning African American. They say they only have 32% of the black students at a level 3 or higher for English and math, and the goal is 41%.
I haven't been able to sleep.
I spoke with a woman who goes by Mrs. A. Her daughter told her about the meeting when she came home from school. She immediately reached out to the school's principal.
It's disturbing. It's like baffling. Like, you really thought this was okay.
I reached out to the principal, Donnell Evanson, as well, and haven't heard back. The district superintendent, LaShakia Moore, issued a statement saying, in speaking with Mrs. Evanson, it is clear there was no malice intended in planning this student outreach. However, sometimes when you try to think outside the box, you forget why the box is there. Some parents were satisfied with the messaging they heard from the principal, while others weren't. All of them on the same page saying it should never happen again.
Because we don't send our kids to school to be harassed or bullied or be told that they're not, great as their classmates, or this can happen if they don't succeed.
Superintendent Moore says it's still under investigation. She encourages parents with questions to reach out to her or the principal here at the school. Reporting live in Flagler County, Chris Lindsay, Fox 35 News.
Thanks, Chris.
All right. So you heard what was said. And you know what? No matter what, I don't care what they said. The kids should never have been singled out. All right, let me stop. The kids should never have been singled out. If the kid's performance is not up to standard, that is a reflection on the teacher. The teacher is the one that's supposed to prepare these students for those kind of tests. They are not supposed, how are they excluded from the blame? I don't believe a fourth and fifth grader should have been blamed at all. You're paying property taxes. You're paying all, it's just like we're paying taxes and we're not getting any policing. We're paying taxes and our kids are not getting good schooling. And just on that alone, that's another reason for reparations. How long have we been paying all these taxes out of our pay, and just to get zero support from the police and zero help for our children in school? They haven't done nothing but rob us this the entire time, as far as I'm concerned. But no, children that age should not be berated for that reason, ever. And I blame the educators 100% for what happened. Now, if you're wondering where this school is, y'all, this is Ron DeSantis' stomping ground. This happened in Florida. That's where this happened. And there is no excuse for singling out Black children, taking them to some assembly, and then blaming them for the grades they got when it's clearly the teacher's fault. So if Karen is not going to do her job, then Karen needs to be removed. And more needs to be said about how, because Karen, if you go, they said about 80% of the teachers in our community is Karen. So yes, I can blame Karen for the poor performance going on in our schools. And if anything, we need to be a lot more vocal about that. We should be calling Karen out every opportunity we get for how poor the children are doing in education. But no, I'm never going to blame our children for that, but I certainly will blame Karen. And you heard, that's disturbing. You heard on the video where they said some of the parents, after the school spoke to them, were satisfied and other parents were still disturbed by it. Well, that's disturbing to me, that some of the parents were satisfied with the explanation that the school gave. And it just goes to show you, those are the parents that are going to still push their kids out to go back to that very same school. No, instead of always blaming our children or saying it's the environment, no, it's being around Karen every day is destroying their psyche. Karen is the reason why they're underperforming. Let's put the blame where it belongs. So let me, I'm going to share my screen with you again so you can clearly see what school this is in Florida. All right. Oh, boy, Florida is a mess. So what they did, they went around to fourth and fifth grade classrooms and took the Black children only. And, and that's another thing. They act like every white child in America is performing well. They're not. Many of them are failing, y'all. I went to school with these people, and I'm sure you have too. Many of them are not performing up to standard. And you know what I mean. I've sat in classrooms and seen their test scores. I've seen them get failing test scores. I've seen them get D's and C's in class. And, but they keep playing this psychological game that is just our children. Many of their kids ain't doing but so well in school. Don't believe the hype, okay? Don't believe the hype that they keep putting out here for us to hear. Oh, their kids didn't have to go to this assembly because all of them are doing well. I doubt that seriously. I doubt it seriously. I've seen them do bad in school. I've seen them drop out of school. A couple of them that I went to school with dropped out. So don't tell me they're just immaculate and nothing is going on with them. That's a damn lie. So back to the story. So these were fourth and fifth grade students. First of all, you don't do nothing to a child in the fourth and fifth grade, and the parents are not informed first. I think that's another red flag right there. So what they did was they took these kids out of their class, took them to the cafeteria for an assembly. So several of the parents, when they found out, when their kids got home, they told them, they contacted the school. The teachers discussed the scores and reportedly touted gift cards. Listen to this, to fast food restaurants as possible ways to reward the students. Chicken and McDonald's, y'all. Chicken and McDonald's. And guess what? When the white parents found out about this, you know what they were upset about? How come their white kids didn't get offered the gift cards too? They had zero concern about what happened to these black children. That was their reaction. That's why I said they don't care about our kids. And that's why they should not have access to our children. I don't care what nobody say. At the end of the day, they should not have access. So this happened in Flagler County School District. And the chair is Cheryl Massaro. And she said she was aware of the black students were isolated for assembly. She said the assembly should not have happened. She did admit that. She went on to say Flagler County Schools confirmed in a statement to Fox 35 that such an assembly took place, but insists, she claims, this is what she claims, there was no malice intended. Yes, it was. When you took only one race of students and isolated them and then berated them about scores on a standardized test, which has already been proven that those tests are designed for white children only. Okay. And you berated them and you didn't berate any other student in that school. No, there was complete malice involved. So she goes on to say sometimes when you try to think outside the box, you forget why the box was there. The interim superintendent, this is another woman. Her name is Lashaka Moore. And she said this in a written statement. So no, you don't get to do something like this and then turn around and say there was no malice involved. There was plenty. So what happens now? They claim, they're investigating, and their investigations are just like the police. you know, I can compare the investigations in education is equivalent to the investigations among the police. They don't want to punish these teachers, and from what I understand, these were white teachers that did this to these black students. And you know how it is. It's the same with the police. They don't want to punish their own. Yeah, I think it happened, but I don't believe it was malice. You can see the woman is already trying to let them off the hook. No, I'll show them to you. Hold on. Let me pull the article back up so you can see the white woman that claims she don't believe any malice was involved. Hold on. I'll show you both of them. Okay. So this is the one that made the statement when you try to look out, outside the box, this is the one that made that statement. Okay, she's the interim superintendent, LaShakia Moore. LaShakia Moore. And here's the one, Cheryl Massaro, who claimed, this assembly shouldn't have happened, but I don't think it was any malice involved. Yeah, this one. So she's already trying to get these teachers off the hook. No, when you do stuff like that, no, it's pure evil. It's all evil. Talking about there's no malice involved. But she was the one that said that. That's the problem. You got too many people in charge that don't have our children's best interests at heart. And, all they're doing is what they have done historically, try to keep us as last. We should be last at all costs. Yeah, that kind of crap. Including our children. Our children must be held in last place at all costs, sabotaging, lying, failing them when they really pass, all that stuff. And the sad part is all of our children don't have good advocates in their parents. Their parents you heard what they said. Some of the parents were satisfied with the explanation they gave for this whole thing, which means you're not even advocating for your children. You're not fighting for their best interests. You're just going along with the system. And that in itself is a problem when parents, our melanated parents out here, are doing that. So you are in agreement with the system. And when the system apologizes to you for wrongdoing, you're satisfied and you're just going to keep sending your kid back to that same school. That's what's wrong right there. I see plenty wrong. At this point, with them pulling the AP African American classes, taking all the diversity programs out of the schools and all of that stuff that Ron DeSantis is doing, all that anti-woke act and all that mess he's doing. I'm amazed that any Black parent down there in Florida is pushing their children out to any school down there at this point. So those parents that were satisfied with the answer that the school gave for isolating your children and berating them, you need to do better. You need to do better by your children. For real. Sometimes that's why kids will grow up and resent their parents, because their parents don't protect them at all. You just out here going along with anything. So, but the parents that still got a problem with it, you should now look for alternatives for your children. At least some of them down there got some sense and they're not accepting everything. So, y'all, that's all I wanted to cover with you today. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. And if you haven't seen the videos that I put out today, please take your time and go over there and watch the videos, share the videos, like the videos. I would deeply appreciate it. Shalom, family.